Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Premarket Info.
Tigers win last night. We'll get to that in a second. The VP debate. Laughing Joe Biden. That's what they're calling it. JP Morgan and Wells Fargo both report earnings. JP Morgan beats. Wells Fargo misses on the revenue side. AMD, surprise, surprise, lowers guidance. And defensive stocks seem to be falling out of favor. First, let's start talking about the Tigers.
Yeah, first of all, I want to give a shout out to all our listeners in Northern California, the Oakland A's, man. Incredible season, incredible fans. I don't think I've ever seen sportsmanship like that in a long time. Justin Verlander, I think we both on Pre-Market Info yesterday, we're putting all our eggs in one basket with JV, and thank God they didn't have to bring anybody else in.
He threw the complete game. We said they had to do that to win. I don't know. They probably may have still won. They got 6 runs, but happy that they're moving on.
And also, I'm a little bit sore this morning. I was working on my Bernie dance, and I got it down now, so I might have to put that up on YouTube.
Weekend at Bernie's with Coco Crisp out there for you Oakland fans. They're calling it Laughing Joe Biden, the debates last night there, Joel. Basically, during the debate, Joe Biden was just giving sarcastic laughs to everything that Ryan was saying. Somebody actually, believe it or not, created a Twitter account. I've got it up here on the screen. You're probably wondering why this was on the screen. Somebody created a Twitter account called Laughing Joe Biden during the debate, and they got 8,800 followers in the 1-hour debate. Just crazy. He was laughing through the whole debate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think he was still declared the winner. I mean, I think debates do have some effect on the election, but boy, I know Obama still has a big lead, so we'll see if that changes in the next month.
Let's move on to the markets because we got some big movers here this morning.
Big
JP Morgan comes out around 7:20 Eastern this morning, $1.40 versus $1.21. They beat nicely. The stock actually trades up in the pre-market up to $42.99. Has now pulled back as Wells Fargo reported, and they're not doing as well. They missed on the revenue side, and the stock's trading down 70 cents.
Wow, 2 stocks going different ways. That's really interesting. Maybe they think that it's good for J.P. Morgan that Wells Fargo is going out of business. I don't know, but you did hit $42.99. You have to look at the dailies here. You have a bunch. Yesterday's high, 42.64. That's been the recent high of the move. I mean, you really can't call it a triple top. You had another high at 42.44, and then another high in the lower 42s. But boy, I would just keep an eye on that yesterday's high, 42.64. I think that people, if it gets back up there again, it's going to be good resistance. If in fact it can get through there, I bet you there's 10 trillion shares at 43. Coming back on the downside, 42.15's been the pre-market low. If we take that out, get out of the way, we could be going back down to 41.50.
Going over to the Wells too. It was actually trading up off the JP Morgan numbers. It was trading up to 35. What'd you get? 35.80 in the pre-market, Joel?
Yeah, that stock got up. It was trading at, what did I say, 35.80? Yep, 35.80 in the pre-market. People were taking the good news from J.P. Morgan, buying the Wells Fargo. What did they miss by, like $1 or something?
No, they beat actually 88 cents against estimates of 87, but the revenue was light, $21.2 billion against estimates of $21.46 billion. So they're pounding it because of the light revenue number.
Well, I might have to readjust my numbers here. 34.29 was our low back on September 26, I believe. Looking at the pre-market, right, we're there right now. Boy, you have to be tempting here if you were have been playing this stock from the long side here to take a whole look at this 34 level. In addition to those lows at 34.29, Dennis, you had a bunch of lows between 34.10 and 34.21. Momentum is going to the downside, but you got to look at support at that $34
I
level.
look a little lower than that too, though, because I can remember because I was trading
Yeah.
this back in August. If you do get through 34, you had a lot of lows around the 33.70 to 33.75 area. So my target's a bit lower than that. I think if it could get down to these old lows that we set back in August in that 33.70 to 33.75, it might find some support there. But it has continued to drift down. The report about 10 minutes ago, and the stock continues to drift lower here in the pre-market. So it really hasn't bottomed yet. So wait till this thing bottoms before you go bottom picking on it.
Yeah, just a little reminder when Chevron came out and with their warning and stuff. I mean, there was no bounce. So Wells Fargo has a little bit different character of a stock, lower price, higher volume. You probably can't get hurt as bad, but be careful if you're trying to pick a bottom.
Talk about stocks with no bounce. AMD is one that just continues to disappoint. It's making a new low once again here this morning. They lower their Q3 guidance. $2.93 is where it's trading at right now. I've got to go out to the monthlies to find anything remotely close. If you go back into the financial crisis, this stock was trading down at $1.62, but I mean, if you go back to 2005, 2006, this stock was at $41. It's now at $2.93. I tend to think this stock is just kind of on the road to zero.
Pre-market low has been under 290. I got to 285. From that level, you got a nice bounce up to $3. $3 is going to be major resistance here in the stock, and as you talked about support, that could be at zero.
Apple had an interesting day yesterday. It was trading up a little bit there early on, and then right after the open, they announced that Samsung can start selling their cell phones again, the appeals court, and then the stock just started to sell off significantly here after that announcement, and ended up having a really bad day, closing almost right on the lows at 628.10.
Yeah, it got up to Monday's high. I think a lot of people expected to take out Monday's high, fill the gap from last Friday from 47.56 to 51.28. Filled up there. I was watching that. I was watching the market make new highs, and was really tempted to be long the S&Ps. And I'm just watching Apple go down 50 cents at a clip. And of course, that was before the actual news came out. Coming down to 628.10. I have it closing on the low of the day, getting a bounce here in the pre-market. The bounce is only taking us up to 632.78. I would keep an eye on that level. Big swing level for the stock is 634.50. If we take out this 28.10 low, then we're staring Tuesday's low right in the face at 23.55. If we take that out, we're going to 600.
Yeah, and the reason it's bouncing a bit this morning is that they said, or they didn't say, but people are speculating that they're going to unveil the new iPad mini on October 23rd. That's the date that's being speculated this morning. So I think that's giving the stock a bit of a lift here. But it's just a stock here that I'm always scared of. I always say Apple is one of those that likes to make V bottoms, and I thought we were making the V bottom until we're coming to retest it right now. So if we take out that 623.55 low that we set 3 days ago, I would get very, very nervous with this stock. But regardless, the stock still it had a nice run up there in the last 3 days, so it got a lot of those losses back. But I'm just scared with that sell-off yesterday that you could see some follow through here today.
Yeah, that V bottom could turn into a W bottom
Well, it
here.
could. It could. So if the double
Yeah,
bottom holds in, it could be a W bottom. But like I said,
don't you
Apple
get
doesn't.
sick of this whole iPad, iPhone thing? I mean, what? I mean, they're gonna have to come out with something else. I mean, I'm not calling it an all-time top in this thing, but mini iPad. So what? People are going to buy less of the regular iPad,
it,
right?
it doesn't sound like a groundbreaking invention there.
No, and a lot of the run, a little run up, a little recovery midweek. I heard an analyst from Stern Agee saying that yeah, you're going to get a run up when they announce that they're coming. When they announce that they're announcing the new thing. I mean, what does that do fundamentally for the stock?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think they need to get, I think one of their products in the pipeline might be that Apple TV. They need to start, obviously, looking into that product a little bit deeper, maybe, because you can only milk this iPad, iPhone for so long before the market will get, saturated, basically. I mean, everybody seems to have an iPhone now. When you buy an iPhone, Joel, though, then we know we're going to the all-time top.
I was thinking about it when I was around 700. No, I'm just joking.
Defensive stocks were looking weak there yesterday. They opened up okay, but then just started selling off. This AT&T has basically been in a 3-day sell-off straight here. Stock is not looking good after it broke through that support line 3 days ago that we had drawn. It's been straight down since. It's not finding any support whatsoever. And the scary thing for AT&T, it's now opening up into that area where it ran up in mid-July. It made that low back in mid-July at 34.24, and then in 4 consecutive days ran up to 37. That's the problem. When you run up that quickly, you can run down quickly too. I think you might find a little bit of support in the 36 area, but there's just not that much until you start getting into the low 35s.
Yeah, we had talked about this stock quite a bit last week, where you had the dividend players going into it short
Yep.
term. Yeah, they bought it up. If they were quick, they probably even got out with the dividend and made money on the stock position. Since then, you've had just a series of
5 straight down
lower
days.
highs and lower lows and lower closes. You're looking at 36.26 close right on the low of the day. That's never a good sign for the stock. And only getting a 4-cent pop here in the pre-market. Getting down to under 36. I mean, 36 is a psychological number. You got a gap to look at here, Dennis. 35.83 is the start of the gap, and that was the 7.26 low back in July, and the high on the 25th with 35.52. So, boy, I don't know. Sure looks like it has its mind to go down there and fill the gap. For you folks looking to short this on some strength instead of selling it in the hole, perhaps the 36.50 area will be your first opportunity for selling into strength.
You made a great point though with the dividend. This was a classic dividend play. We had 2-3 days of run up before the dividend. We opened the next day ridiculously high. It opened around 38 and a quarter, which actually gave the dividend capture players an extra 25 cents. And then just since then, it's been straight down. So people bought it before the dividend and sold it off afterwards. And now they got another 2.5 months with no dividend. So it's hard for these value investors and these dividend players really to be interested in this stock at least for another month or two. Verizon's kind of the same story. It's had the same run up into the dividend. The last 3-4 days has been selling off, and yesterday closing on the lows as well.
Yeah, you're looking at some good support in Verizon. Got a double bottom at 44.95, 44.98. This has not taken the whooping that AT&T has on a relative basis after topping out at 47. Interestingly, both those stocks hit multi-year and 52-week highs. Same thing, just a few 6 trading sessions ago. Keep an eye on that 45 area in Verizon. Not a lot of activity in the pre-market in the stock. A whooping 432 shares have traded.
Yeah, other defensive stocks, not to go into details on technicals on them all, but just
Okay.
to let you know, MO had a terrible day yesterday, selling off as well. Pepsi was not good either, selling off too. So the whole sector rotation thing still is happening here. Money had been flowing a little bit into the financials. Were actually pretty strong yesterday. Like Goldman Sachs was up $2, but now with the weak Wells Fargo earnings, J.P. Morgan has turned red here, or was red a second ago, only up a nickel now. Citigroup reports on Monday, but it's trading down here 25 cents too. So you wonder if some of these defensive stocks, I'd keep an eye on the financials, and sometimes they can move opposite too. But scary to buy the defensives; they're just out of favor. But the financials here, is this a pullback to buy? Like, what do you think of the Citigroup chart when they have earnings on Monday?
Citigroup has had a just incredible run here. Made a recent high at 36.16. I mean, if I was long it, I'd be trying to sell it going into earnings. Seeing the way the Wells Fargo and the J.P. Morgan is acting, we did have another high at 35.99 back in April. We're flirting with that level right now, up at 36. So that 36 is major resistance.
Another one that's due to report on Monday, just to give you, is Wynn, WYNN. And here's a stock that had a nice run up in early September, has now pulled back here a little bit here just the last couple of days. It's trading 112.46. It's actually up a dollar in the pre-market, 113.64. Steve Wynn was on CNBC this morning, so that might be why it's up a little bit here in the pre-market. Actually, bid at 114.05. But they do report earnings on Monday.
That kind of reminds me of the Chevron Corporation chart. I'd see Chevron, of course, made all-time highs and then consolidated. The only thing I'd alert traders to in this win is if it takes out 110, get out of the way. This thing's going to 105. There's actually basically nothing between those two levels. If it goes into free fall, it's still $3 away from that, but needs to hold 110, and then you have resistance here at the high of the move at 116.10. Basically trading in the middle, but this 110 looks like a big level to me.
Overall market thoughts here going into this Friday trading session, Joel. We obviously bounced yesterday again off of the support area. We've been finding support here in the mid 1420s. We got down a little bit and tickled into the 1420s a few times there this morning, getting as low as 1428.25. But we are lifting up here a bit. But I'm worried here. I'm nervous with these financials starting to roll over like they are. I'm starting to get worried, and especially if Apple starts to break down again, that this market might go and retest here.
Yeah, I was doing the levels last night and looking at the charts, and had never seen all the components in the Big Ten, the top 10 components, all close at or within a dime of the low of the day. So a lot of times on those occasions, you either get a strong follow through in the pre-market to the downside, or you get a reversal. At this time, you have a reversal taking place. You're making a high of 1434.50. I would keep an eye on that level. The Globex high usually is a very good indicator for early in the session. I don't think we're out of the woods on this until we clear yesterday's high at 1439.75. And you got all those squirrely lows in the 1425, 24 area, so it makes it hard. But I think if you're a long-term player and we take out the intraday low from yesterday, 1427 and a quarter, we could be in for a little bit of a rough ride today.
Well, that's our show for today. Have a great trading day and have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys on Monday.